بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما.
Okay, the question is like, do we need to learn only the Cisco technologies or relevant other vendors? Like, the question is like, let's say you're doing some uh, routing switching. You will be learning like in the CCNP enterprise, you are learning the routing and switching, or if you're doing some Cisco firewalls, then you learn Cisco ASA FTD. So, is it recommended to learn the other vendors as well? It totally depends on the requirement. Basically, when you go to the live networks, like because I also work as consultant, so we consult many organizations. So if you go with the different companies, you will find different companies will have different vendor. Like basically, we're into IT solutions as well. So when you're offering for different clients like ABC, someone says they will be using Cisco routers, switches. They are not really bothered about the costing, which is very high on the Cisco side. And firewalls as well. They generally go with the best Cisco, in the market. Cisco leads the market, not in the firewalls, but there are some organizations which will generally say, okay, we want some cost effective solution. They might go with a simple dealing, or sometimes, Huawei, other alternate cost effective Cisco copy product, we can say. So basically similar kind of product because you'll see most of the CLI and everything's similar. So in terms of learning, so when you're working, you will be learning automatically the other vendors depending upon the project. Because personally, I don't. In terms of learning, Cisco has a good learning roadmap. Like if you want to become a network engineer with routing switching skills, then CCNP Enterprise is the track which you have to learn. And if you want to learn firewalls, then generally I say you need to. If you want to be a good foundations, we generally say Cisco ASA FTD firewalls. You can start learning. Now, other vendors you can only learn after once you complete or expert on this. Because parallelly learning is something not recommended. Because parallel learning, at the end, the concepts remains the same. If you talk about the concepts remains the same. The routing concepts remains the same. Like how the static routing works, how the OSPF works, how the routing protocol works, route filtering works, all the concepts remains the same. Whether if you take the same example with the switching, the same thing, the VLANs, trunking, inter-VLAN routing, spanning tree, these all concepts remains the same. Even the same thing with VPNs or any other technology. So in terms of technology, the concepts remains the same irrespective of the vendor. So which means when you're learning, you probably focus on any one vendor, whichever you require immediately. Like let's say you're learning the firewalls and your company have a FortiGate firewall. So you can immediately start learning the FortiGate firewall at the first because you're learning at the same time you also have implementation experience that's going to add an advantage. But if you don't have any experience, generally Cisco is a better option if you're uh, if you're if you want to learn in the beginning. Okay, but once you learn and expertise one vendor, now the second vendor becomes automatically easy because you don't need to learn again the new concepts. You don't need to learn what is routing, what is switching. You only need to learn how to configure, how the commands will be, how the graphical interface will change, and what will be the default behavior differences. Like there are behavioral differences will be there. Like there are few features will be enabled on some vendor, might not be enabled on other vendors. So there will be some default behaviors, differences. Those things we need to understand. So once you understand that you can do either through self-learning or through some courses. If you are good enough, then you can just refer some documentations and you can do that if you're very good. Or else you can just enroll for that particular course. Like you already did some routing switching, but unfortunately, you won't find much of those courses available on other vendors, especially in routing switching, because Cisco leads that. But when it comes to firewalls, you will find different vendors. Like that's how it's going to be. So at the end, you will be learning different vendors and adding that in the profiles. But that comes with the requirements. So whenever you have the requirement, you have the project, you have the clients, basically you will learn that and that will also help you in the future as well.